Come in. This is your producer, Leela speaking. We will be arriving at London, splendid capital of the Seven Systems, in a few minutes. Please, make your way to your seats and prepare for landing. As we re-enter the atmosphere, I have a few quick announcements. The events you are about to see include depictions of violence and death. There will also be blaster noises and flashing lights. If you have to leave our world at any point, please exit quietly through the back. However, we do ask that you do not re-enter outside of intermission. These events will unfold over the course of 2.5 hours, including a 15-minute intermission. If you must visit the restroom, you can find one on the lower floor. We can also provide accessible restrooms if needed. Additionally, although the sights and people of our Seven Systems are indeed the most beautiful in the galaxy, we ask that you refrain from taking photos or videos. Lastly, the Stamford Shakespeare Company acknowledges that we stand and operate on the ancestral lands of the Morkma Ohlone tribe that were and continue to be of great importance to the Ohlone people. We acknowledge our role in continuing the stewardship to this place by recognizing and honoring their experiences. We have docked at the spaceport. Now, prepare to welcome our glorious leader, the magnificent King Henry IV.
So shaken as we are, so wan with care, find we a time for frighted peace to pant and breathe short-winded accents of new battles to be commenced in systems far remote. No more the thirsty entrants of these planets shall daub their lips with their own children's blood, nor bruise their surfaces with searing wounds of hostile lasers, those opposed eyes which, like the meteors of a troubled heaven, all of one nature, of one substance bred, did lately meet in the intestine shock and furious close of civil butchery, shall now, in mutual, well-beseeming ranks, march all one way and be no more opposed against acquaintance, kindred, and allies. The edge of war, like an ill-sheathed knife, no more shall cut his master. Therefore, friends, Forthwith, a power of English shall we levy!
Now, Hal, what time of day is it, lad?
Now what hast thou to do with the time of day? Unless hours were cups of sap, and clocks the tongues of whores, and this planet's sun himself, a fair hot wench in flame-colored taffeta, I see no reason why thou shouldst be so superfluous to demand the time of day.
Indeed, you come near me now, Hal, for we that take purses go by the moons of the seven systems. And I prithee, sweet wag, when thou art king, let not us that are squires of the night's body be called thieves of the day's beauty. Let us be Diana's foresters, gentlemen of the shade, minions of the moons, and that men say that we be men of good government, being governed as the seas are by their noble and chaste mistresses, the moons, under whose countenance we steal.
Thou sayest well, my friend.
My liege, a post from Wales with heavy news, whose worst is that the noble Mortimer, leading the 5th Battalion to fight against the irregular and wild Glendower, was by the rude hands of that Welshman taken, 1,000,000 of her people butchered.
It seems then that the tidings of this broil break off our business for the outer worlds.
And is not my hostess of the tavern a most sweet wench?
Why, what a pox have I to do with my hostess of the tavern?
Well, thou hast called her to a reckoning many a time and oft.
Did I ever call for thee to pay thy part?
No, I'll give thee thy due, thou hast paid all there.
Yea, and elsewhere, as far as my coin would stretch, and where it would not, I have used my credit.
Yea, and so used it that were it not here apparent that thou art heir apparent.
My liege, here comes more news from Scotland's battle. Young Hotspur, Harry Percy, sends regards. The Earl of Douglas is discomfited. 10 million bold Scots fought in their own blood. Of prisoners, Hotspur took the beach in Douglas, and the Earls of Enfield, Moray, Angus, and Menteith.
Is not this in honorable spoil?
It is a conquest for a prince to boast of.
Yea. There thou makest me sad, and makest me sin in envy that my Lord Northumberland should be a father to so blessed a son. A son who is the theme of honor's tongue, amongst a grove of the very straightest plant, whilst I, by looking on the praise of him, see riot and dishonor stain the brow of my young Harry. Oh, that it could be proved that some night-tripping fairy had exchanged in cradle clothes our children where they lay, and called mine Percy, his Plantagenet. Then should I have his Harry, and he mine. Let him from my thoughts. What think you, sir, of this young Hotspur's pride? The prisoners which he in this adventure hath surprised to his own use he keeps, and sends me word I shall have none, until I meet his terms.
This is his mother's teaching. This is Worcester, malevolent to you in all aspects.
Well, we shall send for him to answer this.
But I prithee, sweet wag, shall there be gallows standing in England when thou art king? Do not thou, when thou art king, hang a thief.
No. Thou shalt.
Shall I? Oh, rare by the stars, I'll be a brave judge.
Thou judgest false already. I mean, thou shalt have the hanging of thieves, and so become a rare hangman.
Hal, I prithee, trouble me no more with vanity. I would thou and I knew where a commodity of good names were to be bought. An old lord of the council rated me the other day in the street about you, sir, but I marked him not. And yet he talked very wisely, but I regarded him not. And yet he talked wisely, and in the street, too.
Thou didst well, for wisdom cries out in the street, and no man regards it.
Well, thou hast done much harm upon me, Hal. Before I knew thee, Hal, I knew nothing. And now am I, if a man should speak truly, little better than one of the wicked. I must give over this life, and I will give it over, and I do not. I am a villain.
Where shall we take a purse tomorrow, Jack?
Zounds! Where thou wilt, I'll make one, and I do not call me a villain and baffle me. Poins, now is this the most omnipotent villain that ever cried, stand to a true man?
Good morrow, Ned.
Good morrow, sweetheart. What says Monsieur Remorse? What says Sir Yon Sack and Sugar? My lads, tomorrow morning by 4 o'clock, early at the spaceport, there are tourists traveling to London with bad purses. If you will go, I'll stuff your purses full of crowns. If you will not, tarry at home and be hanged.
Hear ye, Edward, if I tarry at home and go not, I'll hang you for going. Wilt thou make one, Hal?
Who? I, Rob? I, a thief? Not I, by my troth.
Well, then thou camest not of the blood royal.
Well, come what will, I'll tarry at home.
By the stars, I'll be a traitor then when thou art king.
I care not.
Sir John, I prithee, let the prince and me alone. I will lay him down such reasons for this adventure that he shall go.
Well, may the stars give you the spirit of persuasion and him the ears of profiting. Farewell. You know where to find me.
Now, my good, sweet, honey lord, fly with us tomorrow. I have a guest to execute that I cannot manage alone. Bardolph, Falstaff, and Peter to rob those men. Yourself and I will not be there. And when they have the booty, if you and I do not rob them, cut this head off from my shoulders.
'Tis like they shall know us by our habits, and by every other appointment to be ourselves.
I have buckram cloaks to mask our noted outdoor garments. The first of these guests will be the incomprehensible lies this same rogue will tell us when we meet at supper. How dare he, at least he fought with, what words, what blows, the extremities he endured.
Well, I'll go with thee. Provide us all things necessary and meet me tomorrow night in Eastcheap. There I'll sup. Farewell.
Farewell, my lord.
I know them all, and will, awhile, uphold the unyoked humor of their idleness. Yet herein will I imitate a sun, who doth permit the base contagious clouds to smother up his beauty from these worlds, that, when he please again to be himself, being wanted, he may be more wondered at by breaking through the foul and ugly mists. So, when this loose behavior I throw off and pay the debt I never promised, by how much better than my word I am, by so much shall I falsify men's hopes, and like bright metal on a sullen ground, my reformation glittering o'er my faults shall show more goodly and attract more eyes than that which hath no foil to set it off. I'll so offend to make offense a skill, redeeming time when men think least I will.
My blood hath been too cold and temperate, unapt to stir at these indignities. You tread upon my patience, and be sure I will from henceforth rather be myself, mighty and to be feared, than my condition.
Our house, my sovereign liege, little deserves this scourge of greatness to be used on it, and that same greatness too which our own hands have helped to make so portly.
My lord.
Worcester, get thee gone, for I do see danger and disobedience in thine eye. Madam, your presence is too bold and peremptory. You have good leave to leave us, when we need your use and counsel. We shall send for you.
his name demanded, which Harry Percy here in Scotland took, whereas he says, not with such strength denied as was delivered to your majesty. Either Henry, therefore, or misprison was guilty of this fault, not my son.
My liege, I did deny no prisoners. But I remember, when the fight was done, when I was dry with rage and extreme toil, breathless and faint, leaning upon my sword, came there a certain lord, neat and trimly dressed. He was perfumed like a milliner, and as the soldiers bore dead bodies by, he called them untaught knaves, unmannerly, to bring a slovenly, unhandsome corpse betwixt the wind and his nobility. With many holiday and lady terms, he questioned me, amongst the rest, demanded my prisoners in your high majesty's behalf. I then, smarting with my wounds being cold to be so pestered with the popinjay, answered neglectingly out of my grief and my impatience, I know not what. He should or he should not, for he made me mad to see him shine so brisk and smell so sweet and talk so like a waiting gentlewoman of guns and drums and wounds and laser fire. This bald unjointed chat of his, my lord, I answered indirectly as I said. And I beseech you, let not his report come current for an accusation betwixt my love and your high majesty.
And yet, you do deny your prisoners, but with proviso and exception that we, at our own charge, shall ransom straight your sister-in-law, the foolish Mortimer, who, on my soul, hath willfully betrayed the lives of those that she did lead to fight against that great magician damned Glendower, whose daughter, as we hear, vile Mortimer hath lately married. Shall our coffers then be emptied to redeem a traitor home? No. On those barren planets, let her starve. For I shall never hold that man my friend, whose tongue shall ask me for one penny cost to ransom home revolted Mortimer.
Revolted Mortimer! She never did fall off, my sovereign liege, but by the chance of war, to prove...
Let me not hear you speak of Mortimer. Send me your prisoners with the speediest means, or you shall hear in such a kind from me as will displease you. My lord Northumberland, we license your departure with your son. Send us your prisoners, or you will hear of it.
And if all the seven systems navies come for them, I will not send them! I will after straight and tell him so, for I will ease my heart, albeit I make a hazard.
Drunk with choler. Stay and pause a while. Here comes your mother.
Speak of Mortimer. Zounds! I will speak of her, and let my soul want mercy if I do not join with her.
Who struck up this heat after I was gone?
The king hath made our son mad.
He will, forsooth, have all my prisoners. And when I urged the ransom once again of my wife's sister, then his cheek looked pale, and on my face he turned an eye of death, trembling even at the name of Mortimer.
I cannot blame him. Was she not proclaimed by Richard that dead is the next of blood, heir to the crown?
She was. I heard the proclamation.
Nay then, I cannot blame her cousin king that wished her on those barren planets starved. But shall it be that you, that set the crown upon the head of this forgetful man, are fooled, discarded, and shook off?
My son, say no more. And now will I unclasp a secret book, and to your quick conceiving discontents I'll read you matter deep and dangerous. Those same noble Scots that are your prisoners...
I'll kick them all! He shall have not a Scot of
You
them!
start away and lend no ear unto my purpose. Those prisoners you shall keep.
Nay, I will. That's flat. He said he would not ransom Mortimer, forbade my tongue to speak of Mortimer. And I'll find him when he lies asleep, and in his ear I'll holler, Mortimer! Nay, I'll have a starling shall be taught to speak, not but Mortimer, and give it him to keep his anger still in motion.
What a wasp-stung and impatient fool! Tying thine ear to no tongue but thine own.
Mother, tell your tale. I have done.
Nay, if you have not, to it again. We won't stay your leisure.
I have done faith.
Then once more to your Scottish prisoners. Release them all without their ransom straight. Befriend the Douglas, then combine your means to raise a power in Scotland. We, my lord, our son in Scotland being thus employed, shall secretly into the bosom creep of that Welsh rebel leader, that Glendower. I speak not this in estimation as what I think might be, but what I know is ruminated, plotted, and set down.
I smell it. Upon my life it shall do well. And then the power of Scotland and of Wales to join with Mortimer, huh?
And so they shall. Harry, farewell. No further go in this than I by message shall direct your course when time is ripe, which will be suddenly.
Farewell, my son. Our house shall thrive, I trust.
Father, adieu. Oh, let the hours be short, till fields and blows and groans applaud our sport.
Stay close.
Points! Points and be hanged! Points!
Peace, you rascal. What a brawling dost thou keep?
Points! Help! A plague upon you both! Far off! Peter! A plague upon it when thieves cannot be true to one another. A plague upon you all! Stand! Oh. So I do, against my will.
Casey, there's money of the king's headed to the ships. 'Tis going to the king's exchequer.
There's enough to make us all.
To be hanged.
Now, my masters, happy man be a stole. Every man to his business.
Come, neighbor, the passenger ship is just ahead.
What ye knaves, young men must live.
Now may thou and I rob the thieves and go merrily to London. It would be argument for a week, laughter for a month, and a good jest forever.
Stunt goes.
My masters, let us share. And the prince and poins be not two errant cowards, there's no equity stirring. There's no more valor in that poins than in a wild duck.
Your money!
Were it not for laughing, I should pity him.
But for my own part, my lord, I could be well contented to be there, in respect of the love I bear your house.
He could be contented. Why is he not then? In respect of the love he bears our house, he shows in this. He loves his own closet better than he loves our house. Let me hear some more.
The purpose you undertake is dangerous.
Why, that's certain. 'Tis dangerous to take a cold, to sleep, to drink. Yet I tell you, my lord fool, out of this nettle, danger, we pluck this flower. Safety.
The purpose you undertake is dangerous. The friends you have named uncertain, the times of unsorted, and your whole plot too light for the counterpoise of so great opposition.
Say you so? Well, I say you are a shallow, cowardly hind, and you lie! Our plot is as good a plot as ever was laid. Our friends true and constant. A good plot, good friends, and full of expectation. An excellent plot, very good friends. What a frosty, spirited rogue is this? Is there not my father, my mother, and myself? Lady Alyssa Mortimer and Owen Glendower? Is there not besides the Douglas? What a spineless rascal is this? A coward! Ha! Well, you see now in very sincerity of fear and cold heart, we'll heed to the king and lay open all our proceedings. Hang him! Let him tell the king we are prepared. I will set forward tonight. How now, Kate? I must leave you within these 2 hours.
Oh, my good lord, why are you thus alone? For what offense have I this fortnight been a banished woman from my Harry's bed? Tell me, sweet lord, what is it that takes from thee thy courage, pleasure, and thy golden sleep? Why dost thou bend thine eyes upon the earth and start so often when thou sitt'st alone? In thy faint slumbers I by thee have watched and heard thee murmur tales of iron wars. Thy spirit within thee hath been so at war, and thus hath so bestirred thee in thy sleep that beads of sweat have stood upon thy brow like bubbles in a late disturbed stream. And in thy face strange motions have appeared, such as we see when men restrain their breaths on some great sudden hest. Oh, what portents are these? Some heavy business hath my lord in hand, and I must know it, else he loves me not.
What ho! Is Gilliams with the packet gone?
He is, my lord, an hour ago.
Did Butler bring those fighters from the hangar?
One ship, my lord, he brought even now.
What ship? The Rhone, is it not?
It is, my lord.
That Rhone shall be my throne. Bid Butler bring it forth into the hangar.
But hear you, my lord.
What sayest thou, my lady?
What is it carries you away?
Why, my ship, my love, my ship.
How human-headed ape, a weasel hath not such a deal of spleen as you are tossed with. In faith, I'll know thy business, Harry. That I will. I fear my sister Mortimer doth stirred and sent for you to line her enterprise. But if you go...
So far tonight, I shall be wearied, love.
Come prepared, if you don't answer me in faith, I'll break thy little finger, Harry, and if thou wilt not tell me all things through...
Away! Away, you trifler! Love? I love thee not. I care not for thee, Kate. This is no world to play with mammoths, to tilt with lips. We must have bloody noses and cracked crowns, and pass them current too. I said my ship! What sayest thou, Kate? What wouldst thou have of me?
Do you not love me? Do you not indeed? Well, do not then, for since you love me not, I will not love myself. Do you not love me? Nay, tell me if you speak in jest or no.
Come. Wilt thou see me fly? And when I am aboard ship, I will swear I love thee infinitely. But hark you, Kate. I must not have you henceforth question me whither I go, nor reason whereabout. Whither I must, and to conclude, this evening must I leave you, gentle Kate. For I know you wise, but yet no further wise than Harry Percy's wife. Constant you are, but yet a woman, and for secrecy no lady closer. For I well believe thou wilt not utter what thou dost not know. And so far will I trust thee, Kate.
How so far?
And not an inch further. But hark you, Kate. Whither I go, thither you shall too. Today will I set forth, tomorrow you. Will this content you, Kate?
It must of force.
loggerheads amongst 3 or 4 score hogsheads. Sirrah, I am a sworn brother to a leash of drawers, and can call them all by their given names as Tom, Dick, and Francis. They tell me that I am a Corinthian, a lad of mettle. When I am the king of England, I shall command all the good lads in Eastcheap. I tell thee, Ned, thou hast lost much honor that thou wert not with me in this action. But, sweet Ned, to sweeten which name of Ned, I give thee this pennyworth of sugar, clapped even now into my hand by an underskinker, one that never spake any other English in his life than anon, sir. But, Ned, to drive away the time until Falstaff come, I prithee, do thou stand in some by-room while I question my puny drawer, and do thou never leave calling Francis, so that his tale to me may be nothing but anon.
Francis!
Thou art perfect.
Francis! Anon, sir!
Come hither, Francis.
My lord.
How long hast thou to serve, Francis?
Forsooth, 5 years.
Francis!
Anon, sir!
5 years! Fire, lady, a long lease for the clicking of pewter. But, Francis, darest thou be so valiant as to play the coward with thy indenture and run from it?
Sir, if I could find it in my heart, I would...
Francis!
Anon, sir! Pray, stay a little, my lord.
Nay, but hark you, Francis. For the sugar thou gavest me, 'twas a pennyworth, was it not?
Would it had been 2?
I will give thee for it 1,000 pounds. Ask me when thou wilt, and thou shalt have it.
Francis!
Anon.
Anon, Francis. No, Francis, but tomorrow, Francis, or Francis on Thursday, or, indeed, Francis, when thou wilt. But, Francis.
My lord?
Francis!
Away, you rogue! Dost thou not hear them call? Francis!
What, standest thou still and hearest such a calling? Go look to the guests within. My lord, old Sir John with 6 more are at the door. Shall I let them in?
Let them alone a while, and then open the door. Boys!
Anon, sir!
What's o'clock, Francis?
Anon, sir!
Ever this fellow should have fewer words than a parrot, and yet the son of a woman. I'm not yet of Percy's mind, that Hotspur of the north. He that kills some 6 or 7 dozen of Scots at breakfast, washes his hands, and says to his wife, "Fie upon this quiet life, I want work." "Oh, my sweet Harry," says she, "how many hast thou killed today?" "Oh, some 14, he answers. "A trifle, a trifle." Falstaff and the rest of the thieves are come. Shall we be married?
Those various crickets, my lad. Welcome, Jack! Where hast thou been?
A plague of all cowards, I say, and a vengeance too! Give me a cup of sack, boy! A plague of all cowards! Give me a cup of sack, rogue! Is there no virtue absent? You rogue, here's lime in this sack too. There's nothing but roguery to be found in a villainous man, but a coward is worse than a cup of sack with lime in it. A plague of all cowards, I say still.
How now, moldy rogue? What mutter you?
A king's son! That I do not beat thee out of thy kingdom with a dagger of lath and drive all thy subjects afore thee like a flock of wild geese. I'll never wear hair on my face more. You, Prince of Wales!
Why, you whoreson man, what's the matter?
Are you not a coward? Answer me to that. And Poins there?
Suits you, Robin Slut. You call me a coward, and I'll stab you.
I call thee a coward. I'll see thee damned ere I call thee a coward, but I would give 1,000 pound I could run as fast as thou canst. A plague of all cowards, still say I.
What's the matter?
What's the matter? There be 3 of us here obtain 1,000 pound this day morning.
Where is it, Jack?
Where is it? Taken from us it is, 100 upon poor 3 of us.
What 100 men!
I escaped by miracle. I am 8 times shot through the doublet, 4 through the hose, my armor cut through and through, a plague of all cowards! Let them speak. If they speak more or less than truth, they are villains and the children of darkness.
Speak, sirs. How was it?
We 3 set upon some dozen
16 at least, my lord.
and bound them.
No, they were not bound.
You rogue, they were bound, every man of them.
As we were sharing, some 6 or 7 fresh men set upon us.
And unbound to the rest. And then come in the other.
What fought you with them all?
All? I know not what you call all, but if I fought not with 50 of them, I am a bunch of radish.
I hope you have not murdered some of them.
Nay, that is past wishing for. I have peppered 2 of them. 2, I am sure, I have paid. 2 robes and buckram cloaks. I'll tell thee what, Hal. If I tell thee a lie, spit in my face, call me horse. 4 rogues in buckram that drive at me.
4? Thou saidst but 2 even now.
4, Hal, I told thee 4.
Aye, he said 4.
These 4 came all affront, and mainly thrust at me. I made me no more ado, but took all 7 of their points in my target thus.
7? There were but 4 even now.
Let him alone. We shall have more anon.
Dost thou hear me, Hal?
Aye, and mark thee too, Jack.
Do so, for it is worth the listening to. These 9 in buckram that I told thee of
2 more already.
began to give me ground. But I followed me close, came in foot and hand, and with the thought 7 of the 11 I paid.
Oh, monstrous 11 buckram men grown out of 2.
But as the fates would have it, 3 misbegotten knaves in Kendall Green came at my back and let drive at me, for it was so dark, Hal, that thou couldst not see thy hand.
Now, how couldst thou know these men in Kendall Green when it was so dark thou couldst not see thy hand? Come, tell us your reason. What sayest thou to this?
Come, your reason, Jack, your reason.
What? Upon compulsion? Zoons and I were all the rats in the world, I would not tell you on compulsion. Give you a reason on compulsion.
I'll be no longer guilty of this sin. This sanguine coward, this brazen-faced varlet, this whoreson, clay-brained fool.
Way, you elf-skin, you dried neat's tongue, you bull's pizzle, you stockfish. Oh, for breath, thou utter what is like to you. Tailor's yard, you sheath, you bouquet, you vile standing tongue.
Well, breathe a while. And do it again. And when thou hast tired thyself in base comparisons, hear me speak but this.
Mark, Jack.
We 2 saw you 3 set on 2 and fright them, and were masters of their wealth. Mark now how a plain tale shall put you down. Then did we 2 set on you 3, and Falstaff, you carried your ass away as nimbly, with as quick dexterity as ever I heard bull cat. What tricks canst thou now find out to hide thee from this open and apparent shame?
Come, let's hear, Jack. What trick hast thou now?
I knew ye as well as he that made ye. But hear you, my masters, was it for me to kill the heir apparent? Should I turn upon the true prince? Thou know'st I'm as valiant as Hercules, but beware instinct. The lion will not touch the true prince. Instinct is a great matter. I was now a coward on instinct. But by the stars, lads, I'm glad you have the money.
Marry, my lord, there is a nobleman of the court at door would speak with you. He says he comes from your father.
What manner of man is he?
An old man.
What doth gravity out of his bed at midnight?
Shall I give him his answer?
Prithee, do, Ned.
And I'll send him packing.
did you, Bardolph? You are lions too. You ran away upon instinct. You would not touch the true prince. No. Why?
I ran when I saw others run.
Faith, tell me now in earnest, how came Falstaff's armor so hacked?
Why, he hacked into his dagger and said he would swear truth out of England to make you believe it was done in fight and persuaded us to, like, I'm sorry.
There's villainous news abroad. Here was a knight sent from your father. You must to the court in the morning.
That same mad fellow of the North Hotspur and he of Wales, what a plague call you him?
Glendower.
Glendower the same, and his daughter-in-law Mortimer, and old Northumberland, and that sprightly Scottish Scots Douglas, and a million soldiers more.
Were still stolen away in the night. Your father's beard turned white with the news.
Tell me how. Art thou not horrible affair?
Not a whit, i' faith. I lack some of thy instinct.
Well, thou wilt be horribly chid tomorrow when thou comes to thy father. If thou lovest me, practice an answer.
Do thou stand for my father and examine me upon the particulars of my life?
Shall I? Content! This chair shall be my state. This dagger my scepter. And this bowl my crown. Give me a cup of sap to make my eyes look red, that it may be thought I have wept, for now I must speak in passion.
Well, here is my leg.
And here is my speech. Stand aside, nobility. Harry! I do not only marvel where thou spendest thy time, but also how thou art accompanied.
The stars of the oldest countenance!
Weep not, sweet queen, for trickling tears are vain. That thou art my son, I have partly thy mother's word, partly my own opinion, but chiefly a villainous trick of thine eye and a foolish hanging of thine other lip at the warrant.
Oh, this is excellent sport of faith.
You noble lords convey my trustful queen, for tears do stop the floodgates of her eyes. If then thou be son to me, here lies the point. Why, being son to me, art thou so pointed at? There is a thing, Harry, which thou hast often heard of, and is known to many in our land by the name of pitch. This pitch! As ancient writers do report, doth defile. So doth the company thou keepest. For Harry, I do not speak to thee in drink, but in tears. Not in pleasure, but in passion. Not in words only, but in woes also. And yet there is a virtuous man who I have often known among thy company, but I know not his name.
What manner of man is it, like your majesty?
A goodly, burly man of faith, of a cheerful look, a pleasing eye, and a most noble carriage. And now I remember me. His name is Falstaff. If that man should be lewdly given, he deceiveth me, for Harry I see virtue in his look. Him keep with, the rest banish. And tell me now, thou naughty rabbit, tell me, where hast thou been this month?
Dost thou speak like a king? Do thou stand for me, and I'll play my father. Well, here I am set.
And here I stand. Judge my masters.
Now, Harry, whence come you?
My noble lord, peace to you.
The complaints I hear of thee are grievous.
Blood, my lord, they are false.
Swearest thou, ungracious boy? Thou art violently carried away from honor. There is a demon haunts thee in the likeness of a rotten old man. Why dost thou converse with that stale bombard of sack, that gray iniquity, that father ruffian, that crooked-heeled, puke-stalking, copper ring, lack button, faded jerkin, naughty-pated, smooth-tongued whoremaster? Wherein is he good but to taste sack and drink it? Wherein cunning but in craft? Wherein crafty but in villainy? Wherein villainous but in all things? Wherein worthy but in nothing?
I would your grace would take me with you. Whom means your grace?
Why, that villainous, abominable misleader of youth.
Falstaff! My lord, the man I know.
I know thou dost.
But to say I know more harm in him than in myself were to say more than I know. That he is old, the more the pity. His white hairs do witness it. But that he is, saving your reverence, a whore master, that I utterly deny. For sack and sugar be a fault, so help the wicked. If to be old and merry be a sin, then many an old host that I know is dead. No, my good lord. Banish Peter, banish Bardolph, banish Poins. But for sweet Jack Falstaff, kind Jack Falstaff, true Jack Falstaff, valiant Jack Falstaff, and therefore more valiant being as he is, old Jack Falstaff, banish not him, thy Harry's company. Banish not him, thy Harry's company. Banish Jack, and banish all the world.
I do. I will.
My lord! My lord! Ah! The sheriff is at the door!
Play on the play. I have much to say on behalf of that Falstaff.
Shall I let him in?
Oh, hide thee behind the arras. The rest walk up above. Now, my masters, for a true face and good conscience.
Both which I have had, but their time is out. Therefore, I'll hide me.
Call in the sheriff.
We can go in now.
Now, Master Sheriff, what is your will with me?
First, pardon me, my lord. A hue and a cry hath followed certain men unto this house.
What men?
Oh, one of them is well known, my gracious lord, one John Falstaff.
Ah, Falstaff, I do assure you is not here, for I myself at this time have employed him. And, Sheriff, I will engage my word to thee that by tomorrow dinner time I will send him to answer thee, or any man, for anything he shall be charged withal. And so, let me entreat you, leave the house.
I will, my lord.
There are 2 citizens have in this robbery lost 300 marks.
It may be so. If you have robbed these men, you shall be answerable. And so, farewell.
Good night, my noble lord.
I think it is good morrow, is it not?
Indeed, my lord. I think it be 2 o'clock.
Falstaff! Fast asleep behind the arras and snorting like a horse.
Mark how hard he fetches breath. Search his pockets. There, let him sleep till morning. Out of court in the morning, we must all to the wars. The money shall be paid back again with advantage. Be with me betimes in the morning, and so, good morrow, Ned.
Good morrow. Good, my lord.
Glendower, will you sit down? Plague upon it. I have forgot the map.
No, here it is. Sit, good cousin Pussy. Sit, good cousin Hotspur. By that name as oft as old Henry doth speak of you. His cheek looks pale, and with rising sigh he wisheth you in heaven.
Aye, and you in hell, as oft he hears Glendower spoke of.
I cannot blame him. For my nativity, the frame and huge foundation of my planet shaked like a coward.
Why, so it would have done it the same season if your mother's cat had but kittened, or yourself had never been born.
I say, the world did shake when I was born.
And I say your world was not of my mind if you suppose that, fearing you, it shook.
The skies were all on fire, the ground did tremble.
Why, then the ground shook to see the skies on fire and not in fear of your nativity.
Peace, cousin Percy, you will make him mad.
I can call spirits from the vasty deep.
Why? So can I, or so can any man. But will they come when you do call?
Come, no more of this unprofitable chat.
3 times that Henry and his fleet made head against my bower in Wales. Thrice have I sent the bootless home and weather-beaten back.
Home without boots? And in such foul weather, too. How escapes he fever? And the spirits, too.
Come, here's the map. Shall we divide our right according to our threefold order taken?
I split the systems England claims to hold into 3 limits very equally. By south and east as to my part assigned, all westward, Wales, beyond the asteroid field, and all the fertile planets in that bound, Lord Glendower. And dear cuz, to you, the remnant northward. These 2 systems here.
Methinks my sector, counting habitable planets in quantity, equals not one of yours.
I'll not have it altered.
Will not you?
No, you shall not.
Who shall say me nay?
Why, that will I.
Let me not understand you, then speak it in Welsh.
I can speak English, Lord, as well as you. For I was trained up in an English system, where being but young I framed to the harp many an English ditty lovely well, and gave the tongue a helpful ornament, a virtue that was never seen in you.
Mary, and I am glad of it with all my heart, for I had rather be a kitten and cry mew than one of these same meter ballad mongers.
Come, shall I have your planet?
I do not care. I'll give 3 times as much to any well-deserving friend. But in the way of bargain, mark ye me. I'll cavil on the 9th part of a hair. Are the fleet star paths drawn? Shall we be gone?
I'll haste the calculations, and withal break with your wives of your departure hence. I'm afraid my daughter shall run mad, so much he doted on her Mortimer.
Why, cousin Percy, how you cross my father!
I cannot choose. Sometimes he angers me. He is telling me of the mold warp, and the ant, and the dreamer Merlin and his prophecies, and of a dragon, and a finless fish, and such a deal of skimble-scamble
In
stuff.
faith, he is a worthy gentleman, exceedingly well-read and valiant. He holds your temper in a high respect, and curbs himself even of his natural scope when you come across his humor. Stars he does. I warrant you that man is not alive might so have tempted him as you have done without the taste of danger and reproof.
In faith, my son, you are too willful, Blaine. Since coming hither, have done enough to put him quite beside his patience. You must needs learn, son, to amend this fault, though sometimes it shows greatness, courage, blood, and that's the dearest grace it renders you, yet oftentimes it doth present harsh rage, defect of manner, want of government, pride, haughtiness, opinion, and disdain, the least of which, haunting a nobleman, loseth men's hearts and leaves behind a stain, beguiling them of commendation.
Well, I am schooled. Good manners be your speed. Here come our wives, so let us take our leave.
This is the deathly spite that angers me. My wife can speak no English. I know Welsh.
My daughter weeps. She'll not part with you. She'll be a soldier too. She'll to the wars.
Good father, tell her that she and my sister Percy will follow in your conduct speedily.
Apadotina Katerina.
You always knew what he told me on weird, Melifili.
I understand thy looks. The pretty Welsh which thou pourest down from the swelling heavens, I am too perfect in. But for shame in such a parley should I answer thee. Do I understand thy kisses, and without mine, I will never be a truant love till I have learned thy language. For thy tongue is Welsh as sweet as ditties highly pen, sung by a fair queen. It is
Tulin O'Milne. Betulin, Tulun Darhin Gould.
Nay, if you melt, then will she run mad?
Tailbola came away. I don't hold double Arthur Tulun Linon Lair, Glass Cereal, Erin, Wailing, Leaning, Lure, and Northern. Make itself in this.
She bids you on the wand and rushes lay you down, and rest your gentle head upon her lap, and she will sing the song that pleaseth you, and on your island shall the goddess sleep.
With all my heart, I'll sit and hear her sing.
Do so! And those musicians that shall play to you hang in the air 1,000 leagues from hence, and straight they shall be here. Sit and attend. Alexa! Turn up Lord Melvin!
I don't know that.
Come, Kate. Thou art perfect in lying down. Come, come, that I may lay my head in thy lap.
Go, ye giddy goose.
Now, I perceive his spirits understand Welsh, my lady. They are good musicians.
Lie still, ye thief, and hear the lady sing in Welsh.
I'd rather hear my dog, lady, howl in Irish.
Wouldst thou have thy head broken?
No,
Then be still.
neither. 'Tis a woman's fault.
Now stars help thee.
To the Welsh lady's bed.
What's that?
Peace, she sings. Come, Kate. I'll have your song too.
Not mine in good sooth.
Not yours in good sooth heart. You swear like a comfort maker's wife. Come, sing.
I will not sing.
Let the indentures be drawn. I will away within these 2 hours, and so come in when you
For joy.
millions of my poorest subjects are at this hour asleep. Oh, sleep. Oh, gentle sleep. Nature's soft nurse. How have I frighted thee, that thou wilt no more weigh my eyelids down, and steep my senses in forgetfulness? Why, rather sleep, liest thou in smoky cribs, upon uneasy pallets, stretching thee and hushed with buzzing night flies till I slumber, than in the perfumed chambers of the great, under canopies of costly state, and lulled by sound of sweetest melody. O thou tall God, why liest thou with the vile in loathsome beds, and leav'st the kingly couch a watch case, or a common larum bell? Wilt thou, upon the high and weightless bridge, seal up the ship boy's eyes and rock his brains in cradle of the void's imperious drift? And in the visitation of the stars, which drag the vessel into solar storms, curling their monstrous hands and pulling them with deafening clamor into burning heat, that with the hurling death itself awakes. Canst thou, O partial sleep, give thy repose to the lone pilot in an hour so rude, but in the calmest and most stillest night, with all appliances and means to boot, deny it to a king? Then happy low, lie down. Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. But such inordinate and low desires, such poor, such bare, such lewd, such mean attempts, such barren pleasures, rude society, as thou art matched withal and grafted to, accompany the greatness of thy blood, and hold their level with thy princely heart.
So please your majesty,
Thy place in council thou hast rudely lost, and art almost an alien to the hearts of all the court and nobles of my blood. The hope and expectation of thy time is ruined, and the soul of every man prophetically doth forethink thy fall. Had I so lavish of my presence been, so stale and cheap to vulgar company, opinion that did help me to the crown had left me in reputeless banishment. By being seldom seen, I could not stir, but like a comet, I was wondered at, and I did pluck allegiance from men's hearts, even in the presence of the crowned king. The skipping king, he ambled up and down with shallow jesters and beardless vain boys, grew a companion to the common streets, and fiefed himself to popularity. So, when he had occasion to be seen, he was but as the cuckoo is in June. Heard, not regarded, seen, but not admired. And in that very line, Harry, standest thou. For thou hast lost thy princely privilege with vile participation, and not in eye is but a weary of thy common sight, save mine, which hath desire to see thee more, which now that I would not have it do, make blind itself with foolish tenderness.
I shall hereafter, my thrice gracious lord, be more myself.
For all the world, as thou art, to this hour was Richard then, and even as I was then, is Percy now. He hath more worthy interest to the state than thou, the shadow of succession, for of no right No color like to right, he doth fill skies with warships in the realm, and, being no more in debt to years than thou, leads ancient lords and worthy fighters on to bloody battles and to bruising arms. Thrice hath this Hotspur in his enterprises discomfited great Douglas Tin, and once released him back and made a friend of him to fill the mouth of deep defiance up and shake the peace and safety of our throne. And what say you to this? Northumberland, Glendower, Douglas, Percy, Mortimer capitulate against us and are up!
But wherefore do I tell this news to thee?
Thou, who art like enough through vassal fear, base inclination, and the start of spleen, to fight against me under Percy's pay, to jog at his heels and curtsy at his frowns, to show how much thou art degenerate.
Do not think so! You shall not find it so! I will redeem all this on Percy's head, and in the closing of some glorious day, be bold to tell you that I am your son, when I will wear a garment all of blood and stain my favors in a bloody mask which, washed away, shall scour my shame with it. And that shall be the day whene'er it lights that gallant Hotspur, this all-praised knight, and your unthought of Harry chance to meet. Then shall I make this northern youth exchange his glorious deeds for my indignities. This, with my heart and soul, I promise here. And I will die 100 million deaths ere break the smallest parcel of this vow.
100 million rebels die in this. Thou shalt have charge and sovereign trust herein.
Come sing me a bawdy song, make me merry. I was as virtuously given as a gentleman need to be. Virtuous enough. Swore a little, diced to none above 7 times a week. Went to a bawdy house once in a quarter of an hour. Paid money I borrowed 3 or 4 times. Lived well and in good compass. Now I live out of all order, out of all compass. Oh, company, villainous company, hath been the spoil of me. How now, Mistress Quickly, have you inquired yet who picked my pocket?
Why, Sir John, what do you think, Sir John? Do you think it thieves in my house? I have searched, I have inquired, so has my husband. Man by man, boy by boy, servant by servant. The tithe of a hair was never lost in my house before.
Ye lie, hostess. I'll be sworn my pocket was picked. Go to, you are a woman, go.
Who, I? No, I defy thee. I should have called so in my own house before.
Go to, I know you well enough.
Oh, Sir John, you do not know me, Sir John. I know you, Sir John. You owe me money, Sir John. And now you pick a quarrel to beguile me of it.
What? Will you make a younker out of me? Shall I not take mine case in mine in, but I shall have my pockets picked. I've lost a seal ring of my grandfather's with 40 mark.
I heard him tell the prince. I know not how oft. That ring was caught though.
Oh, the prince is a foolish sneak. Of blood anyway, I would cudgel him like a dog if he would say so. How now, lad? Who's the wind in that door, Faye?
My lord, I tell you, kill me.
What sayest thou, Mistress Quickly?
Prithee, let her alone and listen to me.
What sayest thou, Jack?
The other night I fell asleep here behind the arras and had my pocket picked. This house is turned bawdy house. They pick pockets.
What didst thou lose, Jack?
Wilt thou believe in how 3 or 4 bonds with 40 pound apiece in a seal ring of my grandfather's?
A trifle, some 8-penny matter.
So I told him, my lord, and said I'd heard your grace say so. And he speaks most vilely of you, like a foul-mouthed man as he is, and said he would cudgel you.
What? He did not.
There's neither faith, truth, no womanhood in me else.
There's no more faith in thee than in a stewed prune, nor no more truth in thee than in a drawn fox. Go, you thing, go!
Say what thing, what thing? I am an honest man's wife, and setting kind knighthood aside, thou art a knave to call me so.
Setting thy womanhood aside, thou art a beast to say otherwise.
Say what beast thou knave thou?
What beast, why? An otter.
An otter, Sir John? Why an otter?
Why, she is neither fish nor flesh, a man knows not where to have her.
Thou art an unjust man in saying so, thou art any man knows where to have me.
Thou sayest true, hostess, and he slanders thee most grossly.
So nothing you, my lord, except this other day you owed him 1,000 pounds.
Sirrah, do I owe you 1,000 pounds?
1,000 pound. Ha! 1,000,000! Thy love is worth 1,000,000. Thou owest me thy love.
Nay, my lord, he called you a fool and said he would cudgel you.
Did I, Bardolph?
Indeed, Sir John, you did say so.
Yea, if he said my ring was copper.
Well, I say 'tis copper. Darest thou be as good as thy word now?
Well, how thou knowest as thou art but man, I dare. For thou art true prince. I fear thee as I fear the roaring of the lion's whelp.
And why not as the lion?
The king is to be feared as the lion. Dost thou think I'll fear thee as I fear thy father?
Sirrah, there is no room for truth, nor honesty in this bosom of thine. It is all filled up with sack and self-worship. Charge an honest woman with pick in thy pocket. Why, thou whoreson, impudent rascal, if there were anything in thy pocket but sack and this, I am a villain.
You confess then you picked my pocket.
It appears so by the story.
Hostess, I forgive thee. Go make ready breakfast. Love thy husband. Look to thy servants. Cherish thy guests. Thou shalt find me tractable to any honest reason. Thou seest I'm pacified still. Nay, prithee, be gone. Now how? To the news at the court. For the robbery, lad, how is that answered?
The money is paid back again.
Oh, I do not like that paying back. 'Tis a double labor.
I have procured thee, Jack, the charge of foot. Bardolph!
Yes, my lord.
Go bring this package, my lord of Westmoreland. Point! Prepare my ship, for thou and I have 3 parsecs to fly yet ere dinner time. Jack, report tomorrow to Orbital Command at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There thou shalt know thy charge, and there receive money and order for their furniture. The land is burning, and Percy stands on high, and either we or they must lower lie.
Rare words. Brave world! Hostess, my breakfast come. Oh, I could wish this tavern were my drum.
Well said, my noble Scot. A braver place in my heart's love hath no man than yourself.
Thou art the king of honor, Hotspur. No man so potent breathes upon the ground.
A message comes from your father. is grievous sick.
Zooms! How has he leisure to be sick in such a rustling time? Who leads his power? Under whose government
His
came they
message bears
along?
his mind, not I.
Sick now, droop now. This sickness doth infect the very lifeblood of our enterprise. He writes me here of inward sickness, that his allies could not be assembled in his place, nor did he think it meet to lay so dangerous and dear a trust on any soul removed but on his own. Yet doth he give us bold advertisement, and with our small conjunction we should on, for as he writes, there is no quailing now, because the king is certainly possessed of all our purposes. What say you to it?
Your father's sickness is a main to us. It may be thought that wisdom and dislike of our proceedings kept the earl from hence, and think how such an apprehension may breed a kind of question in our cause.
You strain too far. I rather of his absence make this use. It lends a luster, more great opinion, a larger dare to our great enterprise than were my father here, for men must think, if we without his help can make a head to push against the kingdom, with his help we shall o'erturn it topsy-turvy down.
Aye, that's the spirit! There's no such word spoke of in Scotland as this term of fear. Ah, look now, lads. Westmoreland 10 million strong is landing hitherwards.
No harm, what more?
The king himself in person is set forth, with strong and mighty preparation.
He shall be welcome too. Where is his son, that nimble-footed madcap Prince of Wales and his comrades, that daft the world aside and bid it pass?
All furnished, all in arms. Spies saw young Harry with his armor on as full of spirits as the month of May, and glorious that the sun as midsummer rise from the ground like feather.
No more. Let them come. They come like sacrifices in their trim. The armored Mars shall on his altar sit, up to the ears in blood. I'm on fire! At this rich reprisal we're so nigh, yet not ours. Oh, that Glendower will come.
There is more news. Glendower cannot draw his power these 14 days.
That is the worst tidings that I hear of yet.
Aye, by the stars, that bears a frosty sound.
What may the king's whole battle reach unto?
To 30 million.
40, let it be. My father and Glendower both away, the powers of us may serve so great a day. Come, let us take a muster speedily. Doomsday is near. Die all, die merrily.
Attention! It's getting a little sweaty, isn't it? Peter, get thee before the Coventry. Find me a bottle of sack.
Will you give me money, Captain?
Lay out, lay out. Bid my Lieutenant Bardoff meet me at town's end.
I will, Captain. Farewell.
If I be not ashamed of my soldiers, I am a souse gurnet. I have misused the king's press damnably. I have got in exchange of 1,000 soldiers 3,000 and odd pounds. I press me none but good householders, merchants' sons, contracted bachelors. They have bought out their services. Now my whole charge consists of the ancient, the discarded, the revolted, cankers of a calm world and a long peace. A mad fellow met me at the port and told me I had unloaded all the gallows and pressed the dead bodies. Fuck. Take this. Oh, how now, Madwag?
How now, Blown Jack?
Oh, my good lord of Westmoreland, I cry you mercy. I thought your honor had already been at Shrewsbury.
Faith, Sir John, 'tis more than time that I were there, and you too. But my powers are there already. The king, I can tell you, looks for us all.
Tut, never fear me. I am as vigilant as a cat to steal cream.
I think to steal, indeed. But tell me, Jack, whose fellows are these that come after?
Mine, Hal, mine.
I did never see such pitiful rascals.
Tut, tut, good enough to toss. Food for powder, they'll fill a pit as well as better. Tush, man, mortal men, mortal men.
Yea, but Sir John, methinks they are exceeding poor and bare, too beggarly.
Faith, for their poverty, I know not where they had that, and for their bareness, I am sure they never learned that of me.
Sirrah, make haste. Percy is already in the field.
You hold that well. Talent or experience? Yes, he says.
Fight with him tonight.
It may not be.
You give him then the advantage.
Not a whit.
Why say you so? Looks he not for supply?
So do we.
Tis as certain ours is doubtful.
My son, heed my advice. Stir not.
Do not,
tonight.
my lord.
You do not counsel well. You speak it out of fear and cold heart.
Do me no slander, Douglas. Let it be seen tomorrow in the battle which of us fears.
Yea, or tonight.
Enough.
Tonight, say
Come,
I.
come, it may not be. I wonder much, being men of such great leading as you are, that you foresee not what impediments drag back our expedition. Certain ships of my battalion are not yet come up. Your mother Worcester's fleet came but today, and now their pride of metal is asleep.
The numbers of the king exceedeth ours. For all our sakes, son, stay till all come in.
I come with gracious offers from the king.
Welcome, Sir Blunt.
The king hath sent to know the nature of your griefs, and whereupon you conjure from the breast of civil peace such bold hostility. If that the king have any way your good deserts forgot, he bids you name your griefs, and with all speed you shall have your desires of interest, and pardon absolute for yourself, and these herein misled by your suggestion.
The king is kind, but well we know the king knows at what time to promise, when to pay. My father and my mother and myself did give him that same royalty he wears, and when he was not 26 strong, sick in the world's regard, wretched and low, a poor, unminded outlaw sneaking home, my father gave him welcome and support. And when the lords and barons of the realm perceived Northumberland did lean to him, The more and less came in with cap and knee.
I came not to hear this.
Then to the point. In short time after he deposed the king, soon after that deprived him of his life, disgraced me in my happy victories, raided my father from the council board, in rage dismissed my mother from the court, broke oath on oath, committed wrong on wrong, and in conclusion drove us to seek out this head of safety, and withal to pry into his title, the which we find too indirect for long continuance.
Shall I return this answer to the king?
Not so, Sir Walter. We'll withdraw a while, and in the morning early shall my mother bring him our purposes. And so, farewell.
How now, my Lady Worcester? 'Tis not well that you and I should meet upon such terms as now we meet.
Hear me, my liege, I have not sought the day of this dislike.
You have not sought it. How comes it then?
Rebellion lay in her way, and she found it.
Peace, truant peace.
Please, your majesty, to turn your looks of favor from myself and all our house. And yet I must remember you, my lord. We were the first and dearest of your friends. It was myself, my husband, and my son that brought you home and boldly did out dare the dangers of the time. You swore to us that you did nothing purpose against the state. To this we swore our aid. But in a short space it rained down fortune showering on your head. And from this swarm of fair advantages you took occasion to be quickly wooed, to gripe the general sway into your hand, forget the oath you gave to us of peace, and being fed by us you used us so as that ungentle hull, the cuckoo's bird useth a sparrow, did oppress our nest.
In both our armies, there is many a soul shall pay full dearly for this encounter, if once they join in trial. Tell your son, the Prince of Wales doth join with all the world in praise of Harry Percy. By my hopes, I do not think a braver gentleman, more daring or more bold, is now alive. For my part, I may speak it to my shame, I have a truant been to chivalry. But this before my father's majesty. I will, to save the blood on either side, try fortune with him in a single fight.
We love our people well. We even love those whom your son has recently misled. And, should they take the offer of our grace, both he and they, and you, and every man shall be my friend again, and I'll be his, so tell your son. But, if you will not yield, rebuke and dread correction wait on us, and they shall do their office. So be gone.
It will not be accepted. On my life, the Douglas and the Hotspur both together are confident against the world in arms.
Hence, therefore, every leader to his charge, for on their answer will we set on them.
I would 'twere bedtime, Hal, and all well.
Why, thou owest the world a death.
'Tis not due yet. I would be loath to pay before my day. But 'tis no matter. Honor pricks me on. Yea, but how if honor should prick me off when I come on? How then? Can honor set a leg? No. Or an arm? No. Or take away the grief of a wound? No. Honor hath no skill in surgery then? Oh! What is honor? A word. What is that word honor? What is that honor? Air. Who hath it? He that died a Wednesday. Did he feel it? No. Did he hear it? No. 'Tis insensible then. Therefore I'll none of it.
Mortimer, my son must not be told the liberal and kind offer of the king.
Twere best he were.
Better we all undone. It is not possible. It cannot be the king should keep his word in loving us. My son's own trespass may be well forgot. It hath the excuse of youth, the heat of blood. All his offenses live upon my head and his father's. We did train him on. We, as the spring of all, shall pay for all.
Deliver what you will. I'll say 'tis so. Here comes your son.
Mother, what news?
The king will bid you battle presently. There is no seeming mercy in his heart.
Did you beg any?
I told him gently of our grievances, of his oath-breaking, which he mended thus. By now forswearing that he is forsworn. He calls us rebels, traitors, and will scourge with haughty arms this hateful name in us.
Arm, gentlemen, to arms, for I shall throw a brave defiance in King Henry's teeth, which cannot choose but help him quickly on.
The prince himself stepped forth before the king, and Hotspur challenged you to single fight.
Half showed his asking. Seemed it in contempt?
No. By my soul, I never in my life did hear a challenge urged more modestly.
Cousin, I think thou art enamored on his follies. Oh, gentlemen, the time of life is now short. Sound all the lofty instruments of war, and by that music let us all embrace. For if we live to tread on kings. If die, brave death, when princes die with us.
What is thy name? That in the battle thus thou crossest me?
Now then, my name is Douglas. And I do haunt thee in the battle thus, because some tell me that thou art a king.
They tell thee true.
Know then, this blaze shall end thee, King Henry, unless thou yield thee as my prisoner.
I was not born a yielder. Thou proud Scot!
All's done, all's won! Here breathless lies the king.
Where?
Here.
This Douglas? Oh, I know this face full well. He was a gallant knight. His name was Blunt, seemingly furnished like the king himself.
Why didst thou tell me that thou wert a king?
The king hath many marching in his coats. Now by my soul, I will kill all his coats. I will murder all his wardrobe piece by piece until I meet the king!
Walker escaped shot free at London, I fear the shot here. I have led my ragamuffins where they are peppered. There is not 30 of my 1,000 left alive, and they are in no shape to live till night.
Another king. They grow like Hydra's heads. I am the Douglas! Fatal to all those that wear those colors on them. What art thou? That counterfeits the person of a king.
The king himself. Who, Douglas, grieves at heart that so many of his shadows thou hast met, and not the very king? Defend thyself.
Hold up thy head, vile Scot, or thou art like to never hold it up again. It is the Prince of Wales that threatens thee, who never promised, but he means to pay.
If I mistake not, thou art Harry Monmouth.
Thou speakst as if I would deny my name.
My name is Harry Percy.
Why? Then I see a very valiant rebel of the name.
I am the Prince of Wales, and think not, Percy, to share with me in glory any more. 2 stars keep not their motion in one sphere, nor can one England brook a double reign of Harry Percy and the Prince of Wales.
Or shall it, Harry? For the hour's come to end the one of us. And how I wish thy name and arms were now as great as mine.
I'll make it greater ere I part from thee. And all the budding honors on thy crest, I'll crop to make a garland for my head.
I can no longer brook thy vanities. Ah! Oh! Ah! Ah! Harry, thou hast robbed me of my youth. I better brook the loss of brittle life than these proud titles thou hast won of me. They wound my thoughts worse than sword my flesh. The time that takes survey of all the world must have a stop. Oh, Percy, thou art dust and food for...
For worms, brave Percy. Fare thee well, great heart. Ill-weaved ambition, how much art thou shrunk? When that this body did contain a spirit, a kingdom for it was too small a bound. But now, 2 paces of the vilest earth is room enough. What? Old acquaintance. Could not this old flesh keep in a little life? Or
Jack. Farewell. Could have better spared a better man. Oh, I should have a heaviness of thee, if I were much in love with vanity. In ballad I will see thee by and by. Till then, in blood, by noble Percy lie.
Embowed! Thou embow me today, I'll give you leave to powder me and eat me too tomorrow. The better part of valor is discretion, in which better part I have saved my life. Zoos, I am afraid of this gunpowder, Percy, though he be dead. How if he should counterfeit to and rise? By the stars, I'm afraid he would prove the better counterfeit. Therefore, I'll make him sure, and I'll swear I killed him. Why may he not rise as well as I? Nothing confutes me but eyes, and nobody sees me. Therefore, sirrah, with a new wound, come you along with me.
But soft! Whom have we here? Did you not tell me this man was dead?
I did. I saw him dead, breathless and bleeding on the ground.
There's Percy. If your father will do me any honor, so. If not, let him kill the next Percy himself. I look to be either Earl or Duke, I can assure you.
Why, Percy, I killed myself and saw thee dead.
Didst thou? Oh, how these worlds are given to lying. I'll grant you I was down and out of breath, and so was he, but we rose both in an instant and fought a long hour. If I may be believed, so. If not, let them that should reward valor bear the shame upon their own heads. I gave him this wound in the thigh. If the man were alive and would deny it, Zoons, I would make me a piece of my pistol.
This is the strangest tale that ever I heard.
Come, Westmoreland, let us go to the field to see what friends are living who are dead.
I'll follow, as they say, for reward.
Thus ever did rebellion find rebuke. Ill-spirited Worcester, did not we send grace, pardon, and terms of love to all of you? And wouldst thou turn our offers contrary, misuse the tenor of thy kinsman's trust? A noble knight and many a creature else have been alive this hour if thou hast borne betwixt our armies true and prison. What I have done, my safety urged me to. Bear Worcester to the death. And Weymouth.
Here is the Douglas. I beseech your grace, I may dispose of him.
With all my heart. Other offenders we will pause upon when this remains, that we divide our power. You, son Harry, go with Westmoreland. Towards Wales shall wend you with your dearest speed to meet Northumberland and that Glendower, who, as we hear, are busily in arms. Myself and half my fleet will go to London to reestablish order and security. Rebellion in this land shall lose his sway, needing the check of such another day.
Is there news from Shrewsbury? Out of my son and wife? Thou tremblest. The whiteness in thy cheek is out from my tongue to tell thy errand. Why, they are dead. You what a ready tongue suspicion hath. He that but fears the things he would not know hath by instinct knowledge from others' eyes that what he fears is chance. Yet speak, daughter. Tell thou in Earl his divination lies, and I will take it as a sweet disgrace.
You are too great to be by me gainsaid. Your spirit is too true, your fears too certain.
For all this, say not the first is dead. I see a confession in my heart. Thou shakes thy head and holds fear or sin to see the truth. If he be slain, say so! The tongue offends not that reports his death, and he doth sin that doth belie the dead, not he which says the dead are not alive.
I am sorry, I should force you to believe that which I dearly wish I had not seen. But these mine eyes saw him in bloody state. The king hath won, and hath sent out a speedy power to encounter you, my lord, under the leadership of Prince Henry and Lord Westmoreland.
For this I don't have time enough to mourn. The scaly gauntlet, you know, with joints of steel must glove this hand. And hence, thou sickly cloth, thou art regard too wanton for the head which princes fleshed with conquest aim to hit. Now bind my brows with iron, and approach the ragged hour that time and spite dare bring to frown upon the enraged Northumberland. Let planets fall. Now let not nature's hand keep the black holes confined. Let order die, and let this world no longer be a stage to feed contention on a lingering act.
Now go not to these wars! The time was, father, that you broke your word when you were more endeared to it than now, when your own Percy, when my heart's dear Harry, through many a skyward look to see his father bring down his powers, but he did long in vain. Who then persuaded you to stay at home? There were two honors lost, yours and your son's. Never, oh never do his ghost the wrong to hold your honor more precise and nice with others than with him. Oh wondrous him, oh miracle of men! Him did you leave, second to none, unseconded by you, to look upon the hideous god of war in disadvantage, to abide a field where nothing but the sound of Hotspur's name did seem defensible. So you left him. Let them alone. Glendower's force is strong, had my sweet Harry had but half their numbers. Today my eye, hanging on Hotspur's neck, have talked of Monmouth's grave.
True your heart, fair daughter. You draw my spirits from me with new lamenting ancient oversights. So many thousand reasons hold me back. So I must go and meet with danger there, or it will seek me and find me in another place worse provided.
exceeding weary.
It's come to that. I have been weariness does not have attached one of so high blood.
Faith, it does me. Though it discolors the complexion of my greatness to acknowledge it. Shall I tell thee one thing, Point?
Yes, fair and let it be an excellent good thing.
Shall serve among wits of no higher breeding than thine.
Go to.
Mary, I tell thee, it is not meet I should be sad that my father is sick. Albeit I could tell thee, as to one it pleases me, for fault of a better, to call my friend. I could be sad, and sad indeed too. But I tell thee, my heart bleeds inwardly, now my father is so sick. And keeping such vile company as thou art hath in reason taken from me all ostentation of sorrow.
The reason?
What wouldst thou think of me if I should weep?
I would think thee a most princely hypocrite.
It would be every man's thought. And thou art a blessed fellow to think as every man thinks. Every man would think me a hypocrite indeed. And what a sight's your most worshipful thought to think so?
Why? Because you have been so lewd and so much engraft to Falstaff.
And to thee.
By this light, I am well spoken. I can hear it with my own ears.
What a disgrace it is to me to remember thy name, or to know thy face tomorrow, or to take note of how many pair of silk stockings thou hast with these and those that were thy peach-colored ones, or to bear the inventory of thy shirts, as one for superfluity and another for use.
The enemy fleet is in sight. You must away presently, sir.
Excuse me, Point. I feel me much to blame, so idly to profane the precious time when tempest of commotion doth begin to drop upon our fair and armed heads. Give me my sword and pistol. Poins. Good night.
West of this planet, just beyond its orbit, in goodly form comes on the enemy. Honor great 30 vessels.
Just portion that we gave them out. They sway on and face them in the field. Well appointed to be the Francis here.
I think it is my Lord of Westmoreland.
Health and fair tidings from our general, Harry Monmouth, Prince of Wales.
What doth concern your calling?
Here come I from our princely general to know your griefs, to tell you from his grace that he will give you audience, and wherein it shall appear that your demands are just, you shall enjoy them, everything set off might so much as think you enemies.
Well, by my will, we will admit no party.
That argues but the shame of your offense. A rotten case abides no handling.
Hath Prince Henry a full commission and very ample virtue of his father to hear and absolutely to determine of what conditions we shall rest upon?
That is intended in the general's name. I muse you make so slight a question.
There is a king within my bosom tells me that no conditions of our peace can stand.
Hear you not ask. We can make our peace on terms so large and absolute as our conditions shall consist upon, our peace shall stand as firm as Rocky Mountains. Besides, the king hath wasted all his rods on late offenders, that he now doth lack the very instruments of chastisement, so that his power, like to a fangless lion, may offer but not hold. If we do now make our atonements well, our peace will, like a broken limb united, go stronger for the winter.
Even so. My lord! We will do so.
The prince is here at hand. Pleaseth your lordship to meet his grace aboard ship between our armies.
Before and greet his grace, my lord, we come.
Good day to you, my lord Northumberland, and so to you, Glendower, and to all.
Good my lord, I am not here against your father's peace, but as I told my lord of Westmoreland, the time misorders doth in common sense crowd us and crush us to this monstrous form to hold our safety up. I sent your grace the parcels and particulars of our grief, the which hath been with scorn shoved from the court, whereon this hider son of war is born, whose dangerous eyes may yet be charmed to sleep with grants of our most just and right desires, and true obedience of this madness cured, stoop tamely to the foot of majesty.
If not, we ready are to try our fortunes to the last man.
Pleaseth your grace to tell them how far forth do you like their articles.
I like them all, and do allow them well, and swear here by the honor of my blood, my father's purposes have been mistook. My lord, these griefs shall be with speed redressed. Upon my soul they shall. This may please you. Discharge your powers unto their several sectors, as we will ours. And here, between the armies, let us drink together, friendly, and embrace.
Take your princely word for these redresses.
I give it you, and will maintain my word. And thereupon I drink unto your health.
Captain, deliver to the army the news of peace. Let them have pay in parts. I know it will well please them.
Go, Captain, and let our army be discharged too.
To you, my noble lord of Westmoreland.
And to you. And if you knew what pains I have bestowed to breed this present peace, you would drink more freely. But let my love to ye show itself more openly hereafter.
I do not doubt you.
I am glad of it. Health to my foreign Lord Glendower.
You wish me health and very happy season, for I am on the sudden something ill.
The word peace is lingered. Hark how they shout.
We have been cheerful after victory.
The peace as to the nature of a conquest. Both parties nobly are subdued, and neither party loses.
Now, cousin, wherefore stands our army still?
The leaders, having charged me to stand, will not go off until they hear you speak.
They know their duties.
Seems our army is disposed already to take their courses towards all southern systems, which hurries towards their planet, their home.
Good tidings, Lord Glendower, for the which I do arrest thee, traitor of high treason. And you, my dear old Lord Northumberland, of capital treason I attach you both.
Is this proceeding just and honorable?
Is your assembly so?
Will you thus break your word?
I pawn thee none. I promised you redress of these same grievances whereof you did complain, which, by mine honor, I will perform with all my power and care. But for you, rebels,
Look to taste the due meat for rebellion and such acts as yours. Most shallowly did you these arms commence, fondly brought here and foolishly sent hence. Come, take these traitors to the block of death, treason's true bed, and yield her up of breath.
Who's here? Westmoreland?
Health, my sovereign, and new happiness added to that I am to deliver. The prince your son doth kiss your grace's hand. Glendower, Lord Northumberland, and all are brought to the correction of your law.
Oh, Westmoreland, thou art a summer bird which ever in the haunt of winter sings the lifting up of day. And wherefore should this good news make me sick? I should rejoice now at this happy news, but now my sight fails, and my brain is giddy. Oh me, come near me now, I am much ill.
Comfort, my liege.
Let there be no noise made, my gentle friend, unless some dull and favorable hand will whisper music to my weary spirit. Fetch me the crown upon my pillow here.
How doth the king?
Exceeding ill.
Heard ye the good news yet? Tell him.
He altered much upon the hearing. The king your father is disposed to sleep. I shall withdraw into the other room. Will keep her grace go along with you.
No. I will sit and watch here by the king. Why doth the crown lie there upon his pillow? Being so troublesome a bedfellow. Oh, polished perturbation, golden care that keeps the ports of slumber open wide to many a one. Sleep with it now. Oh, majesty. Look. By his gates of breath there lies a downy feather which stirs not. Did he suspire, this light and weightless down perforce must move. My gracious lord? My father? The sleep is sound indeed. This is a sleep that from this golden wriggle hath divorced so many English kings. Thy due from me are tears and the heavy sorrows of the blood which nature, love, and filial tenderness shall, oh dear father, may be plenteously. My due from thee is this imperial crown. Lo, here it sits. You put the world's whole strength into one giant arm. Shall not force this lineal honor from me.
Dost thou so hunger for mine empty chair, that thou wilt needs invest thee with my honors before thy hour be ripe? Foolish youth, thou seekst the greatness that will overwhelm thee. Thou hast stolen that which after some few hours were thine without offense. And at my death, thou hast sealed up my expectation. Thy life did manifest thou lovest me not, and thou wilt have me die assured of it. Thou hidest 1,000 daggers in thy thoughts, which thou hast whetted on my stony heart to stab but half an hour of my life. What? Canst thou not forbear me half an hour? Then get thee gone, and dig my grave thyself, and bid the merry bells ring to thine ear that thou art crowned. Not that I am dead. Pluck down my offices, break my decrees, for now a time is come to mock at form. Harry the Fifth is crowned! Up, vanity, down, royal states, all you sage counselors, hence! And to the English court assemble now from every region apes of idleness. Now, neighbor confines, purge you of your scum. Have you a ruffian who will swear, drink, dance, revel the night, rob, murder, and commit the oldest things, the newest kinds of ways? Be happy. He will trouble you no more. England shall give him office, honor, might, for the 5th Harry from curbed license plucks the muzzle of restraint, and the wild dog shall flesh his tooth on every innocent. Oh, my poor kingdom, sick with civil blows, and that my care could not withhold thy riots. What wilt thou do in riot is thy care.
There's your crown. I never thought to hear you speak again. Oh, pardon me, my liege. When I came in and found no course of breath within your majesty, how cold it struck my heart. If I do feign, let me in my present wildness die, and never live to show the incredulous world the noble change that I have purposed. Tell me to look on you. Thinking you dead, and dead almost, my liege, to think you were. I spake unto this crown as having sense, and thus upbraided it. The care on thee depending hast fed upon the body of my father. Therefore, thou best of gold art worst of gold. Other, less fine in carat, is more precious, but thou, most fine, most honored, most renowned, hast eat thy bearer up. Thus, my most royal liege, accusing it, I put it on my head, to try with it, as with an enemy that had before my face murdered my father.
by my bed and hear, I think, the very latest counsel that ever I shall breathe. Thou know'st, my son, by what bypass and indirect crooked ways I meant this crown. And I myself know well how troublesome is sat on my head. For all my reign, they were acting that argument. But now, my death changes the mode. For what in me was purchased falls upon thee in a more fairer sort. Yet, though thou standst more sure than I can do, thou art not firm enough, since griefs are green, and all my friends, as thou must make thy friends, have but their stings and teeth newly ta'en out, by whose fell working I was first advanced, and by whose power I might well lodge a fear to be again displaced. Therefore, my Harry, be it thy course to busy, giddy minds with foreign quarrels. This action henceforth out may waste the memory of the former days. More would I, but my lungs are wasted so that strength of speech is utterly denied me. How I came by the crown, may all forgive, so that it may, with thee, in true peace live.
My gracious liege, you won it, wore it, kept it, gave it me. Then plain and right must my possession be, which I would more than with a common pain against all the world will rightfully maintain.
I will make the king do you grace.
I will leer at him as he comes by and do but mark the countenance that he will give me. Come here, Bardolph, stand behind me. If I had had time to have made new liveries, I would have bestowed the £1,000 I borrowed of you. But 'tis no matter. This poor show doth better. This doth infer the zeal I had to see him.
It doth so.
It shows my earnestness of affection.
It doth so.
My devotion.
It doth.
As it were, not to deliberate, not to remember, not to have patience to shift me,
It is best certain.
but to stand stained with travel and sweating with desire to see him, thinking of nothing else, putting all affairs else in oblivion, as if there were nothing else to be done but to see him. King Hal, my royal Hal, oh my sweet boy.
Have you your wits? Know you what 'tis to speak?
My king, my lord, I speak to thee my heart.
I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. How ill white hairs become a fool and jester. I have long dreamed of such a kind of man, but being awaked, I do despise my dream. Reply not to me with a full-born jest. Presume not that I am the thing I was. For we do know, so shall the world perceive, that I have turned away my former self. So will I those that kept me company. When thou dost hear, I am as I have been, approach me, and thou shalt be as thou wast, the tutor and the feeder of my riots. Till then, I banish thee on pain of death, not to come near our person by 10 miles. How yet resolve the rebel forces now? This is the last surrender we'll admit. Therefore, to our best mercy, give yourselves. Or, like to men proud of destruction, defy us to our worst. For, as I am a soldier, a name that in my thoughts becomes me best, if I begin a battery once again, I will not leave the planets you call Wales, till in their ashes they lie buried. The gates of mercy shall be all shut up. And our fleet's warships, cold and hard of heart, in liberty of bloody hand, shall range with conscience wide as hell, mowing like grass your sacred temples and your flowering cities. What is to me when you yourselves are cause, if we allow our troops to do all feats linked to waste and desolation? Therefore, you alien Welshmen, you proud Scots, take pity of your planets and your people, whilst yet my soldiers are in my command, whilst yet the cool and temperate winds of grace o'erblow the filthy and contagious clouds of heady murder, spoil, and villainy. What say you? Will you yield and this avoid, or guilty in defense be thus destroyed?
In the dining room. Take a wild, bloody guess what they give to the Shakespeare Company. We are a student-run organization. This is not the work of salaries, but of many late nights of going to bed when the sun is already shining, like it did on A May Day in old merry England when even villainy was innocent. I stole that line from Orson Welles, and I think he stole it from Shakespeare. But so that I don't have to steal from you, I am asking you to give. I don't have cash, I only have 20s, I only have 100s. No fucking excuse. We take Venmo. What's the Venmo, Thomas? At Stan Shakes 2. We lost the first one.
Thank you all for coming.